Hey everybody, it is time again for another monthly movie preview. This month, we're looking at April, because that's the month that we're in right now.
We are indeed.
Am I right, folks?
Yes?
Yes. All right.
Unless all of April is one giant April Fool's joke, and we're actually in January.
Or we're like still in March. What if April didn't, you know what? I'm not going there.
Like Delaware?
What if April was like Delaware?
Yeah, it doesn't
What
exist.
does that even mean?
Delaware doesn't exist.
What are you talking about?
You ever met anybody from Delaware? You've met people that have gone through Delaware.
This is a theory that we don't have time for right now, but I'm very interested in.
Just saying.
Okay. So first of all, I will be completely honest and say that April kind of sucks this year.
Well,
there's like a lot of attempted quality movies.
there are two
Some of them
movies.
could be good.
There are two movies that I'm genuinely excited to see. There's a couple movies that may or may not be good, and I still have no idea. But mostly, it's just shit I've never heard of.
Yeah, having said that, some of the shit that I had never heard of that I put on our list
Looks good.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But in terms of like big movies that we've been looking forward to,
Yeah,
not really much of
it's
anything.
definitely the lull in the.
The one anti-lull that it has, first up, right out of the gates, April 3rd, Furious 7.
Yeah.
Skydiving cars.
Skydiving cars.
Car through building, through car through building, through car through building, through space.
I got to see it already.
Right.
And I know you're seeing it like tonight.
I'm seeing it tonight, yeah.
My one beef with it, and it ultimately didn't bump me that much, is it goes to a place where I don't think Fast and Furious movies belong.
I'm very interested to see, because James Wan, this is the first time in 5 movies that this franchise has a new director. And James Wan has mostly done horror movies.
Yeah, yeah, he did, what did he do?
Saw,
yeah.
And like Insidious, which is kind of a horror movie. Mostly, I think it's supposed to be a horror movie.
A lot
Mostly.
more bright colors and outdoor settings than he usually
Yeah, I mean, it still has that same feel of like, you know, music video, booty girl intro to a big set piece kind of thing. It's still, it feels like a Fast and Furious movie. It really does. It turns a corner at some point, and I'm interested to see, after you guys go see it, to talk about that corner. But look, it's a Fast and Furious movie. It's what you're hoping it will be, I promise.
And you know, right now, without us saying anything or you seeing any more of it, whether you like it or hate it. Yes. You've either seen 6 of these already, or you haven't seen any of them.
If you're gonna go see it, you've probably already got your tickets.
I'm not allowed to see it until I see 5 other Fast and Furious movies I haven't seen yet.
I will say this though, they didn't make it so that you need to be familiar with the franchise, but they did make it like for people who are familiar with the franchise, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I'm not the one who says I'm not allowed to see it, just so you know.
All right. Well, that's
there
fair.
are certain people who are like, you're not allowed to see that until you're up on the mythology, Christina.
Exactly. So yeah, April 3rd, I mean, we're all going to go see Furious 7.
Yeah. Or
see it in the big screen. I saw it on an IMAX screen, even though it's not technically real IMAX, but see it as big as possible.
It's not, I mean, it's not really worth seeing it any other way.
No. So moving on, because there's really not a lot else to say about Furious 7. It's badass. We know what it is. We're going to go see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Effie Gray, also coming out April 3rd. Mostly Effie Gray I wanted to include in this because it is the polar opposite of Furious 7. Could not be on it's on a different spectrum. Like, it's not even on the other end of a spectrum. It's on a whole other different spectrum.
Which is a good alternative for anybody this weekend who doesn't want to go see the midriffs and the cars.
It's about a young woman played by Dakota Fanning. She marries an art critic. It's a period piece, 18-somethings, I guess.
Victorian.
Very Victorian. Of course, gets involved in an affair with an artist that her husband is very fond of his work, but then there's
her husband is kind of going
and,
crazy.
Yeah, and there's lots of people being sent to asylums.
And she's going crazy because she's all cooped up. And meanwhile, Emma Thompson, it's based on the trailer, it's kind of unclear who Emma Thompson plays in this.
But she wrote it.
But she wrote it.
Wait, what?
Emma Thompson wrote it, which is great.
You just made me like significantly more curious about this movie than I was 5 seconds ago.
Kind of buried the lead on Effie Gray, I'm not going to lie. But Emma Thompson wrote it. The director is a guy who's done nothing but like BBC drama. So, I mean, you know, he's going to be solid. You look at Emma Thompson's other stuff like, you know, Howard's End and her version of Sense and Sensibility that she wrote. really outstanding.
Yeah.
And this again, it has like this weird sort of real life tension that looks really interesting.
She has this like really. I feel like she doesn't get almost any credit as a writer in popular culture, and I think in what she's done, she has this really innate ability of turning stories that on the surface sound like they would make quite plain adaptations as movies into really, really interesting filmic versions of them. She has an eye for that.
Would you say she plumbs the depths of her
filmic
source
knowledge.
Material?
She
maybe.
plumbs the depths of her source material.
Or
gets
even
all-
something even more British.
She
than
gets
that.
something even. That wasn't even British. That was just weirdly
She
perverted. I
takes
think.
things from potentially being quaint out into being
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Point is, she has a very interesting voice.
I
and the
thought we were
trailer for
doing
this-
British accents now.
Oh, no, I don't need to do that. Point is, she has a really interesting voice. And the trailer looks really interesting. It has that really great sort of indie period piece film kind of vibe where the music that the trailer is set to doesn't match the trailer. Like it's not set to the music. It's just this piece of music over the top of this trailer. And there's something weird that I like about that.
Oh,
It's like a weird thing I have.
Again, it was a big come down after rewatching the Furious 7 trailer, which was a lot of things set to the beat.
Okay, so moving along to April 10th, this is a movie that we should all get excited about because
Yes.
it's great. Ex Machina.
Go see it. Go see it right now.
Well, go see it on April 10th when it comes out.
As soon as it comes out.
We're talking ASAP.
You guys have seen it all?
We got to see it at South by.
And I'm really jealous, so I want to punch both of you in the face.
Don't do that. Point is, Ex Machina is written and directed by Alex Garland, who you know from Sunshine. He's the writer of Sunshine, 28 Days Later, wrote the novel of The Beach.
Just a great sci-fi writer.
Just a great sci-fi. Tells really, really interesting stories. And this is a film about Oscar Isaac plays this super wealthy industrialist who made all his money doing he basically invents Google. It's called something else in the movie, but he's invented a search engine and he's this recluse. But he's created AI and he brings Domhnall Gleeson in to perform the Turing test. And what happens next is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very compelling.
Yeah, we did a review of this movie already.
Yes.
It's somewhere on the screen. But basically, this movie is f***ing awesome. And in a time period where I think like hard sci-fi is getting this like resurgence in film, it's getting this like big boost. You know, people were really excited about the parts of Interstellar that were accurate science. You know, and there was some magic in there, but the real science behind the story really like excited people. Same with Gravity, you know, that sparked a lot of debates, but there was a little bit of real science in there. And people are getting really excited about hard sci-fi stuff. And here's a movie that is not only extremely compelling as like a thriller, but also grounded in very realistic and potential science.
And it just takes one reclusive internet billionaire, right?
Exactly, that's all it takes.
But yeah, so it's hard sci-fi. The CGI is amazing. The performances are amazing. The writing is amazing. Just go f***ing watch it.
It's all really
Get
good.
in your time machine and watch it right now.
But I'm excited too for Alex Garland directing films, and I think listening to him talk about like what it's like to be a first-time director, though, like he's such a collaborative guy, and he doesn't take much credit, and he's talked about like you don't want to deify directors and everything, but still having his voice at the top of the food chain on more movies from now on, like is gonna be great.
Yeah, it was really nice to hear him talk about how much bullshit being at the top of the food chain actually means. Yeah. That he did as much work and had as much creative input on this as the director as he did when he was the writer.
Right. But anyway, all that to say, Ex Machina, super good film, super good science fiction. Very excited about it.
I'm very excited to see it.
You can continue to be jealous for another week or so.
And you guys can continue to be complete wusses about the prospect of me punching you in the face.
I just don't want to get punched in the face.
My face is... And there's boobies, you know, if that's really something.
Honestly, if you have to be coaxed to go see Ex Machina because of the boobies, like,
The whole movie's gonna
they're
be
there.
Just try to pay attention to the rest of the movie, because it's really good. Some of them are weird boobies too.
Yeah, totally weird boobies.
It's not an erotic.
And
movie.
weird things happen at the boobies.
Yeah. But you know. So sticking with April 10th, another movie coming out that weekend is Kill Me 3 Times. Now, I'm actually pretty excited about this movie too. I'm glad that I've seen Ex Machina already, so I can go see this movie instead. Kill Me 3 Times stars Simon Pegg as an assassin who gets wrapped up in this plot to kill this guy's wife. And then it just, the plot thickens from there, and it just seems to pull in all of these ridiculous characters in a really kind of funny way.
The trailer doesn't really make sense, but at the center of it is Simon Pegg, so I'm sort of like okay with the whole whatever they're saying about it. But yeah, I had to read like descriptions on IMDb, etc., to figure out what the trailer was saying this movie was about.
Even the description reading it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I get that there's a rich guy and he put out a hit on his wife and there's 3 people trying to kill her for some reason and there's Lady Macbeth who's there and there's a corrupt cop and there's a Hemsworth I'd never heard of. But there being a secret Hemsworth, which apparently wasn't a secret, but just to me, is like a big revelation.
Very compelling.
And I really want to know, now that I know he exists, if he looks just like the other 2 Hemsworths.
He kind of does.
And is he all like, anyway, I still don't know if it's supposed to be a comedy.
I feel like it's one of those, and this is why I'm kind of looking forward to it, because I enjoy the like hitman quasi-comedy hijinksy kind of movie, like a movie where people will die and probably in some upsetting and disappointing ways, but there's going to be a lot of comedy along the way. And it's like knowing that Simon Pegg is playing an assassin who sort of like dives deeper into this bizarre web of intrigue that he had nothing to do with prior to like taking the job. I think is a great premise.
It's like a little bit of a dark comedy and a little bit of a farce.
Right.
That sounds fun. If seeing as I've seen Ex Machina, this is the movie for me that weekend. But
it feels.
Yeah, I'll see Ex Machina.
Also that weekend, True Story's coming out, which we won't talk about very much because T has seen it and she has a review of it that's going up. And so why talk about it now when we haven't seen it when she already saw it, right? So like. But maybe you should watch it, maybe not. You should see what T says.
We'll find out, because I haven't talked to T about it at all either, so I don't have a clue.
Yeah, she's been playing that one very close to the vest.
Yeah, she really played that one close to the vest.
She's been like holding on to it.
Yeah.
Which makes me think it's terrible.
Yeah, it's either terrible and she's gonna like just trash it, or it's like the sneak up best movie ever.
Right, she's like, and it's my precious.
And I get to talk about it. Okay, so that's April 10th. Moving on to the following weekend of April 17th. First one up that we're going to talk about is Unfriended. Yeah. What do we think about Unfriended?
What do we think about this whole weekend?
It looks... Unfriended is a horror film about a girl who... a video of her in some compromising... A compromising video of her was released like 9 months ago. 3 days afterwards, she killed herself, and then now we're up to today. And it looks to me like the entire movie takes place on a computer screen.
Yeah.
It's a group chat with a bunch of friends, and they start getting picked off one at a time.
That is, I think that is exactly what it is.
Okay.
It seems like it's an interesting experiment, and what I've read about it is like, that it's cool for a while.
Because I've heard some good things about it.
This feels like one I would probably rather watch on my iPad. It feels like it would be very weird for an hour and a half to have a computer screen that's a theater size.
I think it might also be legitimately scarier on your computer.
I do too.
Because then it would feel like you're just part of this group chat.
It would
Whereas
be,
like on a big screen, you're like, why is this computer projected?
It would be a whole other sort of experiential element to like watching it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you know, and some of the little blurbs that come up during the trailers like, couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And that's when it really hit me. I was like, oh man, the whole movie is just watching a computer screen.
But there's been movies that like people were nervous or suspicious about where it was like, the whole movie is the 2 of them floating in the water. the whole movie is just him driving around in the car, talking on the phone, and they turned out pretty darn good. And
Well,
so,
that one had Tom Hardy in it.
It did have
Yeah.
Tom Hardy in it.
So-
This one just has children.
This one does feel like sooner or later someone was gonna try this though. Somehow, like we've got these video things. In fact, somebody's probably already made a web series that is this format.
I don't know. At best, it's an interesting new take on like the found footage kind of formula, and at worst, it's just going to get annoying immediately. But I've heard good things about it because it played at Sundance, it played at South by,
Yeah.
and I've heard good things about it.
I think it's worth checking out. I definitely think I'm gonna check it out. I like horror movies. I like experiments. So even if it swings for the fences and misses, I think it's worth watching. Just because they tried something new. I just hope it doesn't become a thing.
I can't imagine it becoming like the next 3D, you know?
Every month there's one movie that's just a bunch of chat screens.
It would be great if they actually were like Child 44, but in chat screen version. Do you want to pay $4 extra to see it in chat window format?
Go sit in the movie theater and there's an iPad like attached to the arm of the chair. Okay, so moving on from Unfriended, the other film that's coming out on April 17th, which I will be going to see, is Child 44. Tom Hardy, Gary Oldman, Noomi Rapace, Joel Kinnaman. It's got a big cast of people that you know. But it's a film that takes place in the Stalin era Soviet Union, and it's about a guy. Tom Hardy, I think, plays like a disgraced sort of military cop kind of guy, and he's now investigating the deaths of these children. And there's a lot of stuff going on about 43
of
children.
them.
It seems like a knockoff Tom Clancy kind of. It feels like a knockoff, like a poor man's Tinker Tailor. What makes me excited about it is Daniel Espinosa, the director, who directed Safe House with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington, which was actually really good. That movie got my award for like, whoa, that's actually really good for whatever year it came out in.
I thought it was okay.
I thought it was actually really good. The point is, that's another movie though that's like, you know, CIA operative, young guy
Yes.
that was another sort of paint by numbers on paper movie that actually came to life on screen really well, I thought.
Yeah, I remember Safe House because I also came out of it thinking this was better than I thought it was going to be. But I also remember thinking, like, did his mom shoot it? Like, why is it such an ugly movie?
It was very like all the shots were like very tight and dirty and sort of shallow focus.
And it was shaky, and
which I thought was an
it just
interesting
looked
look.
cheap. It looked cheap. I don't know.
It might have been cheaper than he wanted to, and so that was sort of like, all right, well, if it's going to be cheap, I'm just going to go.
So
with
they
it.
spared
and
on
they made it a style, you know.
I guess.
But point is, I think with the cast is really good. I
Yeah.
think Daniel Espinosa has done a good job with a sort of, you know, what seems like a standard plot in the past. So I think it's going to be good.
I'm not writing Child 44 off. I just want to wait. The reason I'm not like, I'm going to go see this is because I want to wait to see what people say on this one. Because if people come out being like, this is another hideous movie, then I ain't nobody got time for that.
It doesn't look, visually, it doesn't look anything like Safe.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the
based on the
trailer
trailer.
definitely promises a little more visual interest. But I think I too will wait for the reviews, just because usually thriller political things aren't my go-to weekend movie.
Even Stalin-era Soviet Union?
You know,
that's an interesting time. man.
The interestingness of the time definitely scores it some points, and if it gets pretty good reviews, I'll definitely check it out.
And if Tom Hardy and Gary Oldman are in the same room together,
Yeah,
And
that-
Naomi
I want
Rapace.
to be there.
And Naomi Rapace.
And they're all speaking with Russian accents.
Yeah.
And then the shining star of April
Yes,
17th.
April 17th, the movie in this monthly preview that we're just going to skip entirely, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 comes out April 17th. Yeah, that's more or less the reaction. Not going to bother with it. I'm moving right along to April 24th.
The one thing I will say about Paul Blart Mall Cop 2
Is that it's difficult to say?
but is that it not only is it difficult to say that 5 times, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 5 times fast, but Kevin James is now officially the new Adam Sandler. in that Sony
real
just signed,
close.
but Sony just made him the new comedy star of Sony movies, and so now that Sandler is arguably potentially out of Sony and just into this Netflix deal, Kevin James is officially
the new Adam Sandler.
So look forward to another 5 years of that.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for his Jack and Jill.
Yeah, I was gonna
God.
say, as soon as Kevin James is in drag, then he's officially the next Adam Sandler. Okay, so moving along to April 24th. I think the most interesting movie that's coming out that weekend is The Water Diviner, which was directed by Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I think the only danger with this is that it gets like really heavy-handed, which I could see Russell Crowe doing.
Yeah.
A movie about a father looking for his potentially dead sons as a period piece in Australia, which he's from Australia, so it's like I could see him going like crazy heavy-handed with this movie.
Yeah, it could easily fall into like hard melodrama and be a little bit of a turnoff. That being said, he could it's interesting. He could be Ben Affleck, where I much prefer him as a director than as an actor, even though he puts himself in all of his movies. Or
he's always the weakest part of his own movies.
He's always the weakest part of his own movies. Or he could be the myriad of other actors turned directors that like had a one-off.
Yeah,
you
they
know?
do a couple and then they're like, never mind.
Yeah, nobody saw this.
All right, well, that's more or less April.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not a great
That's it.
month.
There's a handful of other movies coming out that look, but mostly that's it. That's April.
Yeah.
A lot of limited releases. It's a big indie month, and some
Yeah.
of them do look interesting, but most people aren't going to be able to see them.
We're out of the cemetery that is February, March-ish, and we're not quite into summer yet.
Yeah.
April kind of sucks. So let us know what you think about all of that down in the comments below. How excited are you for any of these movies in April? Any of them at all? We'd like to hear about it.
Especially Paul Blart.
Especially Paul Blart, since we kind of skipped that over. And if you know what True Story is about, let us know that too. Click like and subscribe. Come back next time for more movie news and CineFix now.